All right, everybody, welcome back to the Stoke Your Creative Fire Summit. Turn your angst into art. And I have the amazing photographer, Thomas Evans. First thing I'm going to do, fangirling you. Woo! Take it in, feel the fans, feel the fans. I got some iridescent fans for you.
I feel it. I feel it.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm so excited. This is such a treat for me because I've met Thomas many different workshops that I facilitate, and he's been showing up. And I'm always like, who is this amazing guy? And now I know so much more about him. I'm going to read you his bio because it is so epic. And listeners, I really want you to hear that this is a man who's changing the paradigm, and he is working very hard. It's amazing. So Thomas Evans is fearless behind the camera. He is known for his less than usual gender fluid style that challenges both his subjects and viewers, walking the delicate line between play and provocation. I love that line. Masculine and feminine. I love that, of course. Class and glamour. Oh my God, the photos are so amazing. Okay, so you have to check it out, his Instagram. When you after this, you'll go on, look at his Instagram. So simply put, his portfolio is an exposition and celebration of the authentic self. And I love that because his eye-catching work, which it totally is, it's so amazing when you look at these photos, you just like get drawn in. I looked at every single one. It can be found in Vogue, The Advocate, Dark Beauty Magazine, Go, People, Paper, Next, AU, and The Frock magazine. His spirit and his abilities are multifaceted. That's so true because I've heard your writing. His innate artistic vision has helped him build and manage celebrated brands, direct music videos, cultivate shows using visual and performance art. Oh my God. During his career, Thomas has become the go-to photographer for the vibrant LGBTQ New York City nightlife. I have been to many a drag show. He is a photographer for the of choice for internationally acclaimed drag queens, which some of you are going to know: Alaska, Raven, Bianca Del Rio, Aja, and Shanlea? Shangela, to name a few. He's also shot Rodrigo Alves, the human Ken doll, now known as Jessica Alves. Okay. For Thomas' wildly successful campaign. Oh, he also created a successful campaign called Femme the Man. The series broke down societal prescribed labels of masculinity and femininity, which caught fire, was featured in prominent German television networks. This is so amazing, Thomas. So his art, he's a pioneer guiding this divisive world toward the vision of the oneness through his lens, a world of acceptance, tolerance, love, and equality. I am so moved. I might cry reading that. And I know you, and you're such a sensitive heart. So I'm going to put this bio away and talk to you directly.
Thank you, Toni.
How do you feel hearing that read to you? Isn't that amazing?
I mean, especially from you, because I love you and I admire you just, as much. So I'm really honored and really happy that you asked me to participate in this because creativity it's a lifeline. It's life. I think without it, I don't know where I would be. I know that my joy and my happiness would be a lot less than it is now.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I know some of your story from being with you in the Remedy and other programs and hearing your writing. And every time you read it's you go into such a vulnerable space because your willingness to be seen now after we'll talk more about that. But what you said is so important. I just want to repeat it. Creativity is life. It's your lifeline and it's life. And this is so true for me as well. And I feel like if I, as someone said in a previous interview, like if I don't express, I'll die. It's like this, I'm doing this summit because, we were thinking like, how can we share more of the amazing artists that we've met in our lives and these people who impact so many other people who we don't meet. And we want you to know, listeners, that like, this man is impacting a whole entire generation of LGBTQ people people who are allowed to become themselves because you let yourself become yourself, right? Fearlessly and get behind the I don't even know how you got behind the camera. So will you tell us a little bit how the creativity started for you? Like, when did you discover your creativity?
I mean, I've always been a creative person ever since I was a little kid. I was raised an only child, so it was kind of me, myself, and I. And my imagination just kind of, I really nourished it. I really valued my imagination. And I think that's where it really began for me. Uh,
Mm,
I didn't know what direction to go to. I mean, for most of my childhood and even into my adulthood, I was really kind of lost because I had
mm-hmm,
built up these walls and armor that
mm,
were so thick that I had lost myself.
mm.
So it took me many years to kind of start peeling away the layers. And then once I kind of started peeling away at the layers, there was the creativity started coming through. And then
Mm.
I was sort of directed toward photography.
It's amazing. I mean, I know some of what you've been through, and like, I just want to say to you in advance and to all of you who are listening tonight that, when you're talking about layers and armor, it's very natural to build these things. It's not like we did anything wrong or you did anything wrong, but because of the life experience that you had to armor up so that you could survive. This is the truth, is that defense mechanisms are defense mechanisms. They're there for a reason. So we shouldn't shun them, but we need to embrace them and then, see their value and then do our healing work to move past them, which clearly, I mean, you've been doing. I'll later on, I'll share with everybody who I just met earlier. But can you speak more about that? And if you want to share a little bit of your story that you feel comfortable sharing about how you came to like this path of the photography, like when did that click?
Well, growing up, in the 80s and like 90s,
Yep.
uh, I'm gay. And so being gay was not like it is today.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember just from a very early age learning how to take aspects of myself and hide them and change
Yes.
change
Mm,
my authentic self. You know, because I was bullied a lot in
mm,
school for being
so sorry.
too femme. As a little kid, I was very feminine. I wanted to play with dolls. I wanted to dance around my room to Madonna.
Yes, like me.
She is still my idol. Um,
Yes.
and these were things that were not accepted for a boy
Right.
to
Of
do.
course. Of course.
Especially my family. My family are all like blue collar. Like my uncles are like mechanics,
Mm-hmm.
football and like
Right.
sports, and that just wasn't me. I did not fit in. So I immediately thought something was wrong with me. I had
Oof.
a deep sense of shame for who I
Mm-hmm.
was.
Mm.
Uh, Also, the dis-ease, I call it, of
Yes.
addiction in the family. So both my parents
Mm.
were addicts,
Mm.
and I lost my dad um, when I was 17. He was a heroin
Wow.
addict.
Oh, so sorry.
And so my childhood was very traumatic. And so those very informative years, I learned how to just hide who I really was.
Yeah. I
And
mean, it
this,
makes so much sense. I mean,
yeah,
everything you're saying. I mean, I know even today, I mean, I know it's much easier to be gay now than I mean, in some cases it's like in vogue to be gay, but it's still not in cultural situations like you're speaking about. It's still not okay. So what you're doing right now is so worthwhile for younger people who haven't even met you yet or ever seen any of your photography, because let me tell you, there's people who are struggling right now with this issue, like right in this moment. And I just want to say to anybody who's struggling right now at this moment or knows somebody who is, please introduce them to this kind of people who are doing work like this to change the mindset, please, because we want to do this. So please continue. It's such a deep
yeah,
story and I want to honor
that's
that.
well said. And something that you said earlier before I wanted to tag along to that was me just being me in my own skin, being authentic,
Mm,
inspires other people to be themselves also, unbeknownst to me. It is not
right.
my responsibility. I'm not going out in the world and being like, look at me and follow me and like do all this stuff. I'm just doing what feels right in my heart. And then I
Mm,
leave the rest. I leave the results,
mm.
you know?
I love that. What a great lesson for everybody, for us all.
Yeah. That's I just find that to be so important. And I've learned that I don't have to push myself on people, or you know what I mean? Like I can just be me and comfortable in my skin and
Yes.
allow everything to kind of just flow, and who comes to me or flocks to me, they're inspired by something that I do. Does that make
I
sense?
love, yeah, absolutely. I love that. I mean, I love that idea of being in your skin. So what we do, I met you, us getting into our bodies and being in more in our skin, in our house, in our home, this body that we live in, and really being more authentic and sharing our stories and our words and being seen and held and witnessed, right? So the more, and if you didn't show up on that dance floor and write your beautiful pieces and then push the button, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, you could have just kept your thing and I never could have heard your story. But multiple times with much courage, you've said, I raise my hand. And when you do that, exactly what you just said, outcome, regardless of the outcome, you are sharing and inspiring people. And so many people do flock to you and follow you and say, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that road has been very long. It did not happen overnight
Mm,
because of all the stuff that I had to endure as a child, and the hiding. I was terrified
mm,
for a long time,
mm-hmm.
to even just raise my hand and say this, this is who I am, or whatever the case is. So I'm in recovery. I go to NA, and I've been in NA for a very long time to recover
Yes. Congratulations.
um, from
I'm so
addiction.
glad you're here.
Me too. Yeah. So in early recovery, and it took me probably 10 years in recovery. And recovery is about doing the work, doing the step work,
Yep.
more revealing, more revealing, more revealing. And really, the answer is in just raising your hand and just saying, this is who I am.
Mm,
And the more that I started to do that, the easier it got. Little by little, I was chipping away, chipping away. And so when I have these opportunities at these workshops in JourneyDance and
yeah.
sharing on the Zooms and everything that we do
Yep.
together, that I do it, the easier it becomes.
Mm.
It's still a challenge. Just get my hand up, but I can do it. And then once I'm there, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can do
Ooh,
it.
yeah.
I can. So that's what I've learned, is that the
Mm,
more I am fearless and
mm-hmm.
brave and courageous and step out and say, this is who I am, that the easier it gets.
My God, I love that so much, because fearless and courageousness is really what I think we all need more of, because we're sitting so many people. And if you're watching and you resonate with that, feel fear of being seen. And it's funny that your artwork. So when I know you, just the window that I know of you, right, from coming to the workshops, meeting me, and I knew you were a photographer, and I never looked until for some reason, I saw you on Instagram and I was like, oh, there's Thomas. So I quickly looked and I was like, whoa, my mind blew open. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't know this person that well yet. But it's amazing how like we only show little windows of ourselves. So as we show more of ourselves, right, then more of us gets revealed. Then right. And then I came flocking over to you like, I didn't know this is what you meant when
Yeah.
you told me what you did. And the images, it's like, so can you talk a little bit about the creative process and how that healed you? Like doing the actual like
Yeah.
photo shoots with people. I mean, you must heal them. They must cry and get ecstatic. I mean, I look at the photos and I'm like, this is a process. This is a process what they go through and what
Yeah.
you bring them through. You're midwifing people into their own authenticity, or mid-manning people. I don't know how you say it.
It is. It's interesting, right? So I've been a professional photographer for, I think, either 16 or 17 years. So there's a lot that has gone on, and
Yes.
I've done a lot in that time. How it heals me. So again, it goes back to like childhood stuff, like being feminine and hiding that aspect of myself and trying to butch myself up in order to fit into
Mm,
society,
mm,
and hiding those aspects. So as an artist, I've always just been drawn to femininity. First of all, I am a huge feminist, and I have a deep reverence for women just in general. I mean, in everything. It's just like, yeah. So I found that I wanted to explore the sort of toxic masculinity
mm.
that I grew up with, because
Wow.
I know that people in general, men, women,
Hmm.
trans community, every person, we both have those energies. We both have both. feminine and masculine energy.
Yes,
And
100%.
it's our responsibility to harness them or fuel one of them or both of them at the same time. And now I look at being gay as a blessing because I'm able to hold both energies sacredly together.
Mm. Oh, wait, before
So
you go any further, oh my God, I just have to speak to that. I just love that so much in so many ways. I mean, you know that I'm bi and I came out like, I don't know, 6 years ago, accidentally fell in love with a woman, changed my whole life. As I'm coming out again right here on this interview, who knows who's going to be watching, who doesn't know that, but that's fine. But I really had to go deep inside of my societal conditioning to allow myself to love this human being. Like it was deep. I mean, I went into a little bit of a mini depression right after I realized that I was like falling in love with this woman, right? I went into a little bit of, oh my God, I'm going to have to leave the heteronormative, easy to be in world and go into this other world. Holy shit. Do I want to do this? I'm too scared. It's so hard. Look at all the tragedies that have happened. I mean, I really, that is intense what has happened before my moment that has happened to me, all the history of all the people in the world. And it's tragic and it's heartfelt and it's strong and it's empowered and it's amazing. And what my partner says, who wrote a book called Gay, the Prey Away, she says something similar to what you said. It's almost like she tells people in her talks that being gay is like being ahead of the curve spiritually, because you had to go through all of that stuff that most people don't have to go through, and you get to hold the masculine and the feminine in a different way than everybody else. So it's like a very unique perspective that is actually needed now on this planet.
yes, I agree.
You said it in just different words.
Yep, I absolutely agree. Yeah. So one of my photo campaigns is feminizing the masculine man, feminine man,
Mm.
where I take very masculine presenting men,
Yes, I've seen some of these photos. Oh my God.
usually, muscles, tattoos, hair,
Mm.
like traditional masculine looking male. And we do a photo shoot and they transform into more feminine clothing, makeup, nails, hair, that whole experience. And a lot of these men have never allowed themselves to experience
Ooh.
that. And I also talk with them too because I want to know when I have found that men that really like get huge muscles and a lot of tattoos, that's an
Mhm.
armor for
Mm.
that also.
Wow.
And I want to know what is it that you're hiding. And their
Mm.
stories are so similar to mine. And we connect over that. And
Mm.
three people in particular, this was their first opportunity to express the femininity, and
Mm.
they've actually transitioned. They're
Wow.
actually trans women, and one is Jessica Alves, who's you'd have to Google her. I mean, she's kind of internationally known, but kind of
Yes, I think I know who she is. I think I have already seen images and followed a little bit of that story.
so that
Oh,
was I was her first photo shoot as a woman. And there's been a few others too that this was their first photo shoot and decided to transition. So I'm not saying that it's because of me they found their authentic self. It's just to give people a choice.
yeah,
You know,
it's that process of being
process.
allowed to express parts that are so buried and hidden, and it's all because of this box, I'll say, of society that we have all agreed to. And as a collective, we are now breaking these boxes, and that's why the society is feeling so tumultuous right now, is because the boxes are all falling apart and no one knows what to do. So they're, obviously we have a clinging version of I will hold on to the patriarchy with all my might. And then we have the I'm a weirdo hippie, I'll do whatever, right? But the reality is society is changing and these things are going to have to weave eventually. And you're part of that shakeup. I mean,
Yeah,
I am in my way. You are definitely doing it in a much more clear and visual way.
yeah. And back to how that heals me is
Yeah.
it allows me to be okay with those parts of myself.
Mm.
Because I mean, that really runs deep for me. This feeling of I need to like protect myself, and this whole like masculine
Yeah.
thing. I keep thinking about it and keep like, diving my head, because there are some times where I will be around strangers, men in particular,
Hmm.
maybe I'll uncross my legs, or I feel like um,
Right.
it's like old behavior that I
Yes.
need to break. So by me doing these photo shoots and being in the environment, creating this safe space for people to express themselves, it's actually healing me.
Mm.
I can be more authentic, and it's my choice. How I present is how I present. This is how I present myself, and I
Yes.
don't feel that way. And some will say that I present masculine because I like to go to the gym, I like to work out, I like to do
Yeah.
this. But I also like to be on the dance floor, and I like to work it. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
I
yes.
I
I know.
really can express my femininity side on the dance floor, because as a kid, having Madonna as my idol, or like these pop stars, Beyonce and all
Oh,
this,
yeah.
I feel that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
on the dance floor, I can really express that fierce femme vibe.
I love it. I love when you do.
Yeah.
This is so, it's so deep. And, you know, I looked at the photos, a whole bunch of them before, contacting you. And I was just like, wow, this is a process. And how long does it take to like, I'm just curious, like, so when somebody hires you to come on, like, how long is that process? Is that just one day that they go through all of that? Or is it just like a multiple day experience to do this work with you?
Yeah, usually it's one day.
Wow.
So what you see on my Instagram,
Hmm.
again, like I have, you
Yeah.
know, my art and even my photography, like that is one aspect of who I am. There's so much more. And even in my photography career, there's so many different aspects. But what I
Hmm.
really highlight on my Instagram and on my website, which is thomasevansphotography.com,
ThomasEvansPhotography.com.
right, is so I'm really involved in the LGBTQ community in New York City. So a lot of the drag performers, and we all know RuPaul's Drag Race is a very monumental, popular show for the community.
Yes.
These drag queens are celebrities for
Yes.
kids, all kids, not even gay kids, straight kids, like just kids in general. So I photograph a lot of them for the show, for their look,
Oh,
and just queens in general, like in New York City, if they are doing a new show or if they're doing promos,
so
whatever
awesome.
it is, they usually come to me and they do certain looks. Oh, I hear
That is so fun. Oh,
you hear Charlie crying.
I do. We
She
see
is,
the baby bottles and the photos, and the beautiful Thomas and his beautiful husband have a baby.
yes. I mean, that alone has been so the evolution of my life, coming to be authentic and being who I am
Mm.
and saying this is me allowed me to meet someone,
Oh,
be in a relationship, proudly wear a ring, and walk down the aisle with another man. That was like a huge thing. Having my family there, having his family there, that was a huge thing for me
oh, I'm sure.
because of all the years of hiding with my
Mm.
family.
Yes.
And yeah, we were on an adoption journey, which was a long journey. It was like 3 years, but we had a baby girl. Her name is Charlie.
She's so beautiful.
She is 9 months old, and she is just the love of my life. Because one of my mantras, I'm really into meditation and mental health and taking care of myself. And
So important.
is I always ask God to open my heart, just
Mm.
open my heart, open my heart, open my heart, because
Mm.
I never knew how to do that. I never had any role models.
Mm.
Ability and intimacy were never a thing in my family. I never learned how to do that.
Mm.
So after years of just asking for my heart, I was like, okay, I'm gonna open your heart. I'm gonna give you a husband. I'm gonna give you a child. And
Wow.
it is a challenge, um, but in the most beautiful way. In the most
Totally. My funny joke when I had my first child, I said, I feel like the Grinch who stole Christmas because your heart just goes. That was the most heart opening thing I ever did in my entire life, of course, was have a baby. I have two now. My son turned 18 and now I have two adults. Oh, it's craziness.
and
I
I'm
know it's
just
crazy.
starting.
You're just starting. I know I have an 18-year-old. You're just starting, and a 20-year-old. You're just starting. Well, it's going to be amazing. I mean, it's one of my favorite things in the world is being a parent. And I brought all my creativity to the parenting. I mean, as much as I could, as much as they would accept. At a certain point where they're like, get away, mom. But up until, that point, 13 years of creativity.
I'm gonna really look to you for some suggestions and
I would love it.
yeah,
One of
yeah.
my favorite things to do was to read out loud in all the voices. I always did all the voices. Mom, do the voices. Yours is better than the tape. That was the best compliment I ever got from my kids.
Yeah.
You do it. You do it. We like yours better. you know, it's amazing because, I remember when you first came to the remedy,
Mhm.
which is everybody who's doesn't know what that is. This is a process where we move for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then we write for 15, and then we share these pieces. And I remember you were so shy the first time, and you stood up, and you know what? Everybody cried. And I feel very like I might cry, and I'm trying to hold it back, to be honest, because you opened my heart. It's so funny. That's why when you said open my heart, open my heart, open my heart, I was thinking, oh my God, Thomas, for some reason, opens my heart. I'm feeling I'm having a moment. As my character would say, I'm a little verklempt, but because you actually opened my heart, Thomas, because you're not afraid to share so vulnerably. And that's one of the things I've been working on for so long in myself, even though I did not have the same background as you. I had my own background. I had some explosive anger person in my life. I had my own set of traumas, around, sexuality, shame, and other things. But I love that you just said that your mantra is open my heart, because how could someone not feel comfortable with you going on a creative journey of such, like, it's a risk. It's a risk being out and proud and coming out in this world. And the way you do it, I mean, and just the way you do your everything has that open-heartedness to it. So I just want to say to you, you also are an amazing writer. And when you share your pieces, when you share your pieces, it really opens everyone's hearts, and everyone's like, whoa, I want to be more vulnerable and honest and true and authentic.
It's so funny that you say that because I have always doubted my abilities in writing.
Mm.
In, and this is a great example. Me and my husband got into a big fight because I wouldn't write our thank you letters for our wedding because I felt like I couldn't do it.
Oh, wow.
And now it's like the little voice still creeps up, but at that last remedy when I really wrote my
Mm.
story, I was
Oof.
so freaking proud of myself.
Oh, so are we all.
Just like standing up there and doing it, but actually the my writing ability. I think a lot of us think that we can't do, or we're gonna sound stupid, or we're not gonna
Mm.
be understood, or that little voice in our head that creeps up and says that you can't do it, you're not gonna be good enough, people aren't gonna like you. That's a lie.
Yeah.
Like, I have to fight that and say, no, I'm going to do it anyway. And maybe I'll sound stupid, but maybe it won't. And it'll be great. And that last piece I was really proud of. I was
Oh
really,
my God. It was completely so deep and so beautiful. And that's how I feel like I learned more about you than I ever would have if you didn't share that. I think that's one of the things that Joy and I are really wanting to create in all of our work is this openness in a safe, sacred community where we can actually, hear each other's stories and really listen to them, and then take them in and say, wow, how does this affect me? Like right now, I just got weepy because you have such an open heart, and it makes me feel so touched. Like it touches your open heart, touches mine. And for me, that's what creativity does. Like I don't like I've been to many share circles where like we'll sit in a circle, people will share their story and they're moving, but there's something about the creative process that is different. Like when I look at the pictures that you create and like the colors and the thing, it gives me a visceral experience of something. It's so different. And that's why I feel like the creative process is a different opener into knowing each other instead of just the story. Because if I told you all my blah, blah, blah voices in my head, we'd get very bored after very easily. But if I read you my creative pieces, when I break free of that voice, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I have something to say that's interesting. Otherwise we're all just blah, 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 blah. Where do we get these voices?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's the question. Every interview I've done so far, we've talked about the inner voice, the critic. And I'm so curious where we get these critics and how they developed, because I don't believe that in the past cultures, everybody was so critical of themselves. People just were who they were, I feel. I'm guessing that because I don't remember except in past lives, maybe.
I mean, for me, I think that, again, it comes from like just childhood stuff,
Right.
just
Tapes, recorded tapes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
So any like anything you want to share just about, so I love that you shared about how the creativity heals you and how it heals the people who come to you. Do you have any stories that you could share, like of someone who came to you, and you don't have to say their name or anything, but just a story that really like they were so moved by the creative process of, it's almost theatrical what you do. It's not just photography.
yeah.
Not at
So
all. I mean, it's for you, it's maybe photography seeming like, but it's so much more than that.
well, I'm always I mean, I hate to even say it because it might sound a little negative, but I'm a very dramatic person. My
It's not
personality
negative. I
my
love that.
dramatic. But sometimes it could get me into trouble when like
Okay.
you know
Okay.
what I mean? When it comes to like certain relationships and things when we're like overly dramatic. So it is something that I'm
Okay.
working on,
Okay.
but it expresses in my work. In my,
Yes.
it's very glamorous, very like a lot of color, a lot of glamour, a lot of drama. I like
Hmm.
smoke and like lights, camera, action kind of a thing. Like that's just that's me. So
Oh my God. I want to come and have a photo shoot. But you know what I want to do? You ready for this? What would you think of this? I want to do all of my emotions as like photography. Like I want to do my anger, my rage. I want to do my like my sadness. I want to do my ecstatic joy. That would be like so amazing to me because I feel like I am an emotional, dramatic person.
yeah, oh, that sounds awesome.
All right, we're gonna talk
Yeah.
after the interview.
So a story. I mean, there's been so much. So I'm also a creative director for this nonprofit in Connecticut.
No, tell me about that.
So I do campaigns for them, and one of the campaigns I did for them was called HIV Equal.
Okay.
And we would host. We also have a clinic in Africa in Zimbabwe, and we would host these testing events because HIV is like
Yeah.
20 years behind us over there. It's still a
Yeah.
huge epidemic.
Terrible. Hmm.
So we were thinking, how can we get
And that's
people?
just economic injustice. Yeah. Right
How
there.
can we get
Mhm.
people tested? So we would host these HIV tests, and an incentive to get people to come to these events was I would take a picture of them, and they were lending their image, and the tagline was, regardless of your HIV status, we're all HIV equal. So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if you're positive or negative, just as long as you know your status. So it kind of
Got it.
fights stigma and discrimination. And so
Yes.
we're finding that a lot of men were coming out just to have the photograph taken because
Oh,
people have never been photographed before. So
wow.
seeing their image, it was like mind blowing.
Wow.
Um, so yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
I do a lot around the HIV community because my father got HIV and died from AIDS related pneumonia,
Mm,
heroin.
mm,
And my mother is HIV positive, and she's living with.
wow.
So that is, the trips to Africa have been amazing. I've also done a master class at the University of Central Connecticut around my feminizing the masculine man with their photography students. That was
Oh my God, this is wonderful. I mean, you just have such a massive career
I'm gonna have
in service to this whole world that needs to be awakened.
yeah, I'm gonna send you. So if you go on my website,
Yeah.
there's a gallery of videos and there's
Okay.
videos of the workshop, which was amazing.
Oh my God. So I just want to say for anyone who's watching this, if you feel inspired by this, or you know anyone who needs to hear this message of just uplifting hope for and expression and freedom and authenticity for the LGBTQ plus community, please send them to Thomas so he can take their pictures and change their lives and let them find their authentic voice. I mean, I think you do so much more than that because you're just such an open-hearted human. Just being with you is probably very validating for people when they sit down with you to talk at the first session before, you know, they decide what they want you to do with them, or you decide what you're going to do with them. They probably burst into tears.
I don't know about that. I mean, art is a collaboration.
Yeah.
So it's, I find that's my sweet spot is, when I have a team, it depends because sometimes like drag queens, they do their own hair and makeup.
Right.
They have their fierce outfits already.
Yes. Oh my God.
Art is a collaboration, everybody kind of plays their part. But that's where I feel the best when I have a really big team and we're all working towards something amazing. That's when like the magic happens.
I especially love all the clips of you in the photos. Those are my favorite, of course, because I know you. So I see you behind the camera being like, oh my God, or talking to the people, or, having a moment where it's like what you do is such a, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a director, but yet like, it's like you have both. It's an amazing thing that you have.
It's definitely a director.
Yeah.
I'm definitely directing, and I am really just making my imagination come to life.
That's it. I mean, I think imagination is the biggest key to the whole thing. And I think we've really limited our imaginations of what we could become, very much so. Like just by like, I can only become stronger, or if I can become thinner or fatter, I can become older or younger, like we don't think outside the box of this whole idea of the dramatic representation of us, which is much more of the essence. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing like essence work with people.
Yeah. And I think my message to, people that I come in contact with, people that I photograph, whatever, I always tell them, I have assistants, they're interns. So I like to take on interns. So,
Great.
People that are really interested in photography or just starting in photography. I always tell them, I said, follow your passion.
Oh my God, I'm going to send someone to you, by the way. I just thank you for that. Mm-hmm.
Photograph what gets you excited. Follow that. Don't follow, oh, this is going to make me money, or like this is going to, whatever. Like follow your passion, follow your heart, and then again, leave the rest. Just do that. That's what I found has worked for me, because I love the art of drag. I love expressing femininity. I love expressing masculinity. So I just followed that, and they got me here. So
look at that. I love it. So the creativity just completely brought your life into this incredible place of joy, of relationship, healing.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for what you do.
Well, thank you for having me. But I also want to say, like,
please,
everything is not perfect.
Of course.
Like we all have our struggles. We all have things that, we're trying to work on, and I'm constantly trying to work on things and be a better version of myself, learning how to not take things personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot. So
I'm with you 100%. I'm always working on myself. Trying to not take things personally is one, but I have a bunch of other ones. I've been sharing on some of the interviews. I've been working with my my emotions and how I really want to own them in a positive way and use my power in a good way instead of as a destruction of some, relationships, whatever I might do. I'm really working on like taking my angst and turning it into art. I do it through music, I do it through my characters. Barbara loves you, by the way. You know that, Thomas.
Yeah, I do.
She's been on a bunch of times during the summit, but I'm not going to bring her out tonight. But I really do want to say that writing and your writing is such a process. As you've been writing with me and me getting to know you, it's like this is a window for all of us to take, when we share our story and we're willing to be seen. I think that's what you're doing more than anything, is you're helping people through your incredible dramatic direction to be seen and see themselves.
And that's what you're doing. You are doing that exact thing too.
We're just doing it in different lenses.
I mean, I'm so grateful to have you in my life. You have no idea.
You make me cry again now.
I just adore you. And, I mean, the things that you are doing is like, I mean, you're talking about me, but it's like, girl, look what you were doing.
You're very, very sweet to me.
I adore you.
No, I love, we have different artistic expressions, and I love that, I love it. So maybe I'll come in and get like some crazy photos done. Would that be exciting? Oh my God. So everybody, if you want to meet this incredible human, thomasEvansphotography.com.
Yeah. And
perfect.
Instagram is Thomas Evans Photography.
Yeah. And you can jump into his world just by, seeing what he's doing, supporting him in any way that you can. We want to support as many people as we can on the summit. So please watch interviews, share with others. I have a person I'm going to send you to be an intern. I'm serious. They're in art school right now. It just dropped in for me. So you have such an incredible story in common in so many ways. I'll share with you more offline. And so thank you so much. Yeah, please.
Is because you were saying about in the bio, whatever. So anyone that sends me a message from here that references, I guess reference JourneyDance.
Right, or reference that you found you on the summit of Stoke Your Creative Fire.
I'll give 20% off for a photo shoot, and I'll give the
yeah. Oh my God, free gift, 20% off a photo shoot. I'm going to sign that. I'm going to DM you with Thomas Evans. Can you imagine? Okay. Oh my God. That's a beautiful gift. Thank you so much. I'm sure everybody's going to be so grateful. Oh my God. It's been so wonderful. I just want to take a moment and just breathe with you, because I got a little emotional tonight. And I really believe that we can all turn our angst into art. I mean, literally. So thank you so much, Thomas. So I'm going to thank you, everybody, for listening to the Stoke Your Creative Fire, Turn Your Angst into Art Summit. And we will see you at the next interview.
That was awesome. Thank you.
All right. Oh, thank you so much. Wow. Oh my God. That was such a deep story and interview and incredible experience with Thomas. And Joy's not here with me tonight, so I'll just share with you my biggest takeaways. My biggest takeaway from tonight, from this interview with Thomas Evans, I had a few, but one was that we all have these voices in our head that prevent us from being our authentic self, and it's something that we really need to get past. And I thought it was a really powerful thing. He talked about how he works with that voice all the time and continues to move forward. And that's what pretty much we've had a lot of the people we've interviewed have been talking about the same concept. So that's something that really struck me. And the second thing was just the creativity and being okay, being dramatic and fun and wild and out there. And then also being sensitive and heartfelt and compassionate. And like, it's okay to be all of you. That really is what struck me the most about tonight. So thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you more about the program coming up down the lane. And I'm gonna rub my hands together, do a little mwah. Stoke your creative fire. Bye, everybody.